You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. Ethan, we are here. We are back, ready to go for another episode of Lightning Hockey. Guys, welcome to the show. As always, my name is Jake Ricker. Alongside me, it's Jose Ventaro, it's Matt Gannon, and we have our first RBLR Lightning show where we have played regular season games. So, ready to recap the week for the Lightning here. It was an interesting start to this week. I don't think we'll maybe expected, but I can't wait to get it in with you guys. Don't forget, if you're joining us live, really appreciate you, by the way, joining in with us. Drop your comments down below in the chat. We'll get up on screen. Love to hear what you guys have to say, as always. If you're not here with us live, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on social media at RBLR Sports, all that good stuff, so you don't miss out on these live episodes. But with that said, first and foremost, guys, how you doing today?
6 hours ago, I was a little bit more nervous about this podcast. What are we going to be entering in the studio having to talk about? But a big win against the Boston Bruins. I am feeling great. How are you guys?
I wish I was feeling great. I'm feeling better than what I was anticipating, like you. Always excited to do this show. But, even if we did lose 3 straight, misery loves radio. So it's going to be a good show for you guys no matter what.
That's very true. I'm glad we did not lose 3 straight, and we don't have to deal with that. But there's lots to get into with the start for the Lightning here to the regular season. I do quickly want to mention, too, I've talked about it a lot. I know I'm probably harping on it more than some people are, but we've played our first couple of games officially here on the new TV channel home, Script Sports, for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I got to say, I've been really happy with the way this has gone for the most part. Just the access to the channels. The Lightning have been posting, by the way, on their game day graphics. They're also including where you can watch these games, which is really nice for fans. They've added DirecTV Stream and Fubo TV. So 2 streaming apps are now available to carry the Lightning channel, which is awesome. Remember, that was one thing I kind of complained about, was saying that I'd like to see more streaming apps. Still no YouTube TV yet, but it's okay. We'll get there eventually. It's just been really nice overall, though. Just little tweaks I think that they could do better. The score bug isn't perfect in my opinion. The desk is a little bit small. They're still figuring out some of that audio stuff that sounds a little weird, but I don't know about you guys. Overall, though, I've been very happy with the move to Script Sports so far. It's been much better than Bally/FanDuel, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasant experience. I use the streaming. I don't use it for my TV like on my tablet, and just everything about it, from the correct positioning of the score bug to even little things like I said in the chat earlier, like the little flames that come on the miles per hour for like a hard shot, something like that. As corny as it is, I love it. And one thing I never really mentioned, and one thing that I kind of didn't notice until the very end, is when I would stream with FanDuel and Bally, it would add like extra length to the commercial breaks. And so if I was like trying to watch it like with friends, like online or something, while trying to match streams together, mine would take like 30 extra seconds to get out of break for whatever reason. It wouldn't delay the game. Like, it wouldn't cut back to like the middle of play. It would just delay when it came back on air, which was a really weird thing. And it doesn't seem to be doing that this time around. I'm pleased with how well it's been working so far.
And I've just personally been watching OTA, so I love being able to do that. It's such a nice thing just to put the channel on and it just kind of work. Haven't really been watching anything streaming just yet, but not subscribing to it, it's gonna be kind of hard to catch some of the games if it's not being broadcast locally. Luckily enough, that hasn't been a problem, but yeah, there's still obviously some issues. I think it was Paul Kennedy being in the what do they call it, like that, their round table that they do during intermission. You can tell his audio. Yeah, we can tell that his audio is still messed up. Something that we called out during preseason, where they're still working out bugs. So it just kind of goes to show that it's just going to continue to improve.
There was one point during the, I think it was a preseason game actually, where PK was just sitting so close to Braden Coburn. I don't know what happened with the positioning, but somebody sat in the wrong spot and it got a little messed up. And then they brought in, I think it was, who was it? Was it Douglas's family? They brought in somebody's family. I can't remember who it was for the life of me. It was just very awkward because that desk is so small. So the dad was kind of just standing. You could see him with the microphone. He was kind of messing around. He's like, I don't know what to do here. So there's definitely some kinks they need to work out there. But hey, listen, overall, it has been really, really good. And I've been happy with that. It seems like more fans are able to watch the games. Quick comment here. I want to drop in. Dan here, I didn't realize streaming was going to be a subscription. Was a little disappointed with that. Yeah, well, listen, here's the good news, though, is the subscription is only, $66, if I remember correctly. So it's really cheap. It's not too terrible. And for the most part, you can get it included with most, like over the air, like Joe's watching, if you've got Pluto TV or DirecTV Stream. So there are those options, so you don't have to go.
It did seem like it was going to be free when they originally, we're talking about it. But, if you don't have any other options, it's still cheaper than what the Bally's or FanDuel apps were, so that's nice.
Yeah, I was fully prepared to be paying $20 a month like Bally and FanDuel were. Like, a lot of these streaming sites have kind of died off, and just for ease of access, I bit the bullet and did that $20 a month. And when it said $66, I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's 3 months and a week for a 8-month long season. I'll take that. I'm not complaining, but it was a little misleading. I know what you mean, Daniel.
He also dropped this in your comment real quick. Anyone noticed the team trying to incorporate Ryan Malone in things recently? Caught him doing the radio call with Dave. What's funny, and I'm assuming you mean this most recent game, because for whatever, well, I know why. Dave goes by himself on these road trips, so obviously you're not going to get that travel. And they've never hired another color commentator to do those road games permanently. Sometimes they randomly mix in guys. Brian Engblom has done a couple of them. Braden Coburn's done a few. So randomly they will just have a guy go with Michigan to do some of these road games. I don't know why they just don't have like a second color guy that does road games. It's weird. But
maybe they're trying him on to see if that's something that could come to fruition. I mean, he's a very, very funny and entertaining guy. It just doesn't translate that well, I think, on broadcast. If you ever heard him on Spit and Chicklets, he can be really funny at times, but he also comes across kind of dry because you're not in the context of being around his personality rather than just him trying to put out something entertaining. So that definitely, I think, could be something that is translatable with a little bit more practice and a little bit more time on the air.
Yeah, I think this is his first time like actually doing any kind of color commentary, so I'll give him some leeway. I do love Braden Coburn whatever he's doing. I think he does a fantastic job. Love whenever he's calling games with Dave Mishkin on the road. If he does more of that, or if they split it, whatever it might be, I'm fine with that. But yeah, just give him a little bit more time.
I stand corrected, by the way. It was the home opener, not this last road game. I know they tend to do it a lot for road games. Actually, that's even weirder that he would do it at a home opener. But yeah, I'm not really sure what they're doing over there. Listen, Lightning, if you need another color commentator for games, I know some people that would be interested. But anyway, let's get into some of the game recaps here for the Bolts, because that is what everybody wants to talk about. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but let's start with the game recaps here for the Lightning. Of course, opening the season against the Ottawa Senators, guys, at the newly named Benchmark. I want to say Benchmark Arena, but it's Benchmark International Arena. They lose this game, guys, by a final score of 5-4 to the Ottawa Senators, dropping the home opener. And, to me, this was a game where after that first period, you felt pretty good because the Lightning were up 3-1. So a couple of defensive breakdowns, but the offense was really rolling. And then things just fell apart from there. Senators roll in the second and third period and get the 5-4 win. Cooch does score late, but it's too late.
I'll go for it because we. All right. One thing I will say is that the power play was clicking, but if you look at the defensive style that Ottawa had, it's the exact style that works really well for our power play to put up some points. It was good just to see it. They went 2 for 3 with Borgstrand getting one of the goals on the power play and Cooch getting the other, where he decided to go ahead and fire the shot. It still is one of those power plays, though. I think if you get a high pressure team to basically take away the time that you have, then they're going to continue to struggle, because it's all puck movement. It's no personnel movement. They're not skating. They're just trying to create opportunities by moving the puck and then having the coverage open up gaps. Great that they were scoring, but that seemed to be like the only thing that they had some consistency in against this team, because they just kind of, they fought hard. They got a couple of goals, but they looked kind of flat and almost slow, I want to say, after that first period.
Yeah, not to get ahead of ourselves, but they kind of carried that poor momentum into the next game. Like, I think we were all on cloud nine coming out of that first period, a 3-1 lead. You looked great in almost every facet. Yeah, you could tell the defense was a little shaky off the start, and you got to hand Ottawa credit. They played a good game. They were resilient and didn't back down. Despite facing only a 2-goal lead, but still sometimes that can feel insurmountable. So I give them credit for playing a good game. They're a good team and they're fast, which is something that the Lightning kind of struggle with, is fast teams and not very many setup teams, and that's kind of what Ottawa is. Yeah, it was a bummer. This game did kind of it poked some holes. It did bring out a lot of glaring weaknesses on the defense, and I just don't think they could keep up with the speed. A couple of bad goals, but man, the defense really did leave Vazzy out to dry a couple of times. I don't, 5 goals against, or what, they got the empty net, so 4 goals against Vazzy. He hasn't really looked his best, but you can't pin it all on him either.
No, I don't think you can pin it on him, but you can definitely look to, say that he didn't look great. The Zub goal, that was just kind of like a C and I puck that was flung from at the point right along the boards. It just kind of found its way in. So even if you take that one away, though, I'm not going to do the mental math, but he had a let's call it a .88 save percentage, and that's not Vasi numbers. He's got to do way better than that for us to get a win. I mean, our team's just, you got to be able to do better. And another person that's looked off, I think, has been Hedman. And both Vasi and Hedman haven't seen a ton of reps. They played, I think, about the exact same amount of time preseason, right? Hedman got 1 period and Vasi got 2 periods total. So maybe it's something that will come around with some work, but both of those right now are a little bit of a something to pay attention to.
For me, I more blame this on the defense than Vasilevsky at all. We had the empty net in there, and then there were 2 goals that Darren Radish just got beat on, which turned into, one was a breakaway, one was somebody cut right in front of Radish right at the end, and I just can't pin that on Vasi. So really 2 goals that you can maybe say were on him. And listen, goals are going to happen. And I know we expect a lot of Vasilevsky. His expectations are much higher than most people, but to me, it's the defense. The defense was bad in this game. Even in the first period, they really weren't that great, and that has to be better. That has been a point of emphasis. We just had the defensive coaching change that went down, of course, we've talked about for so long. So the defense, to me, was a major issue in this game, and was a big reason why they lost it. There were definitely some other things that didn't go right for them, clearly, especially getting behind offensively, never getting back into the game. But the defense just all around was not good in this game. Hedman, I don't think there's any defender that really had a good game, maybe with the exception of Crozier. He overall played all right, but defense was just not good.
Yeah, Crozier and Lilleberg, their plus-minus was dead even for whatever that's worth. And my sentiment on Vasi, I think, kind of carried on to the Devils game. But something that we brought up last season quite a bit was our second periods just kind of being atrocious. And the Lightning were outshot almost 2-1 in that second frame, and that's where the team really ended up starting to struggle, as the Senators scored 2 goals in that second, and they continued with that momentum into the third.
Yeah, it's become kind of a running joke with some of my friends about a Lightning second period. I feel like it's been more than just last year too. It's like, with the long change, for whatever reason, that just kind of gives them the yips that whole 20 minutes. And then they're kind of fighting an uphill battle in that third period, what seems to be often trying to, get a comeback going or something. Those second periods are crippling for the Lightning to the point where my casual hockey watching friends know about the Lightning second periods.
I think the highs of the first period didn't help with the rest of this game because, like you said, Matt, boy, did you feel good after coming in that first period. You scored the 3 goals. You had none other than the newcomer, Douglas, putting out a show in his first shift, dropping the gloves, winning a big fight. And by the way, now this is also a shout out to Script Sports because, Joe, you said this. You said, wow, that arena sounds loud. That's because they finally put mics where you can hear the crowd noise, unlike FanDuel and Bally ever did. But you're right, though, because that crowd was loud. I mean, it might have been the loudest I've heard since Cup final wins. They were fired up for Douglas. I don't he didn't really do anything on the score sheet. And again, getting ahead in his second game he played against Boston wasn't much of a factor. But, boy, did he make a statement in his first game. I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
I mean, he's a big body. He's there to be a deterrent and be able to play physically. He's only averaged in his 2 games basically 5 minutes a game, which isn't a ton of ice time, but it's obviously he used his time to make his presence felt in that first one, and you know what, it fired the Lightning up, right? I mean, they came off that fight scoring the first 2 goals of the game, so I hope to see more of it.
And Curtis McDermott is not an easy out. He's a good fighter. Like, he's 6'6" or something. Like, he's a big boy. I'd never press him. And to, take the ice for all of 8 seconds and go straight for Ottawa's tough guy. I mean, hats off to Curtis Douglas. I'm trying not to get their names mixed up. But yeah, I mean, credit to him. And you get the win too in front of your family, 8 seconds into your NHL career. I mean, that's super, super cool. So hats off to him. And it's one thing that I've been begging for the last, year and change is getting tougher. And Jake, you might disagree with me. I know we were kind of had differing opinions following those last 2 preseason games, but for the last year and change, Lightning had been getting bullied. They're not the same, rough, tough team that they were a couple of years ago. You saw what happened in the playoffs. Even getting rid of, which I thought was a good trade, getting rid of Mikey Asamont last year. He was kind of like the toughest guy on the team last year. Lilleberg, yeah, he'd step in. Chernak, he's a glass cannon. I'm glad that they're finally taking a big step in, the correct direction, in my opinion, getting Curtis Douglas, Scott Sambarin, and again, all the guys do it by committee, but finally actually getting tough guys, getting some enforcers. Even if you're playing them 5 minutes a night, I think you've got the depth to protect them and make them, an asset and put them in the correct games. There's a reason why he didn't play in the Devils game. They're not really a rough fighting team. Ottawa, it's always scrapping with them. He's back in for the Boston game today. It's the Boston Bruins. It's the Brews and Bruins. So I like how they're using these guys, how they're deploying them as well so far. John Cooper, at least.
The Lightning are just more cranky this year, I feel like, than years past. They've been throwing down some fights. And for the record, Matt, I'm with you. I love what they've done with Douglas. I don't mind having him as a big, gritty guy. Listen, there were no bad hits these first 3 games, all clean stuff. They were fighting well. I have no problem with that. No problem whatsoever. So I'm all in on Douglas. I can't wait to see what he does down the road here. Hopefully he can continue playing some solid minutes, even if he's only playing for 5. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't all good news for the Lightning as this trend continued where they struggled in later half of these games. They played the New Jersey Devils in Game 2, trying to bounce back on Saturday, but they lose 5-3. So, again, another 5 goals put up by the opponents. And it was a opposite kind of the first game where the Devils, they go up 3-0 after the first period. And you're thinking, oh, no, this is not going to go well. Lightning do bounce back in the second, though. They make it a 1-goal game. Devils control the third period. They win this one. And, boy, frustrating. And listen, we were saying this at the time. It's only been 2 games, but it hurts when you have a very talented team, a team that is expected to make the playoffs, make it past the first round, and you're starting off 0-2. That is extremely frustrating. You could tell in this game the players were getting frustrated, and that is never a recipe for success.
Maybe not a recipe for success, but at least if you are getting frustrated and you start to put out from it, you're holding your other players accountable. There's a path to redemption as opposed to just, full sell and like giving up on the game. I feel like they tried to push back, but I went to this game. I went with a buddy who's actually a big Devils fan, and we sat behind Vasi for the first. We were right behind the goal, and I swear to God, the ice was tilted. Every single goal basically came in on our side of the ice. So the first 3 goals were on our side. Switch periods, the Lightning scored 2 goals, and then in the third there were 2 goals that went back on this side, and it just seemed like that this just wasn't a game that the Lightning really could get a hold of or get a footing. 2 shots in the first period is just epically pathetic.
Yeah, two shots in the first period is inexcusable. But luckily, thank God we have the Buffalo Sabres because they got outshot 16-1. We got outshot 16-2, so all eyes were on Buffalo for that stat. Regardless, it's terrible if you're ever sharing, sympathy with Buffalo for being outshot tremendously like that. And yeah, it was a rough showing. It was a rough showing by the defense, and I think the offense was equally as bad. Like the harder Jersey pushed, the meeker and meeker the Lightning got. There was just nothing doing. Again, give credit where it's due. Jersey played a tight game, and it wasn't like a whole lot was coming against the rush. Like there was that Jesper Bratt goal. But they were getting set up, and we were letting them stay in our zone for a long time.
Our gap and defense of the blue line was really bad that game. I felt like their entries were just almost effortless. They just kept being able to get entries into the zone. The Lightning really struggled to get any sort of momentum through the neutral zone to set up.
Yeah, and on the inverse, so they couldn't get out of their own way. Nobody was fielding passes correctly. Like it seemed like every pass was bobbling off some guy's stick. Everyone's holding them a little too tight. Like again, as the deeper and deeper the game went, even once you got those 2 goals and made it a 1-goal game, it didn't seem like anybody was having fun or having a good time. You relented those goals pretty quick. Those 2 quick goals that Ottawa got back to really spread that margin. Everyone just was not having a good game. Like it was just a rough showing. And again, Jersey played a really tight game. Their defense was really good. Anytime you could get into their zone, they were protecting their goalie. Jacob Markstrom had a really easy night. Everything was coming from the outside. Even Ryan McDonough's goal that beat him, it was a slap shot from the blue line. I don't think Markstrom could really see it, but it's shots from the outside. They couldn't get within, they couldn't even get near the circles to get shots off. And that was a big reason why, what you ended with 16 shots, something like that.
Well, you talk about the shots on goal. The Lightning did not have any, and there's such a great clip of of course Phil Esposito. He was on the call for this game, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but on the Darren Radish goal, Phil Esposito gets frustrated and yells, "Shoot the puck!" And as soon as he says that, Radish picks up the puck and shoots it and scores. It could not have been timed any better. And I know, fans love to scream, shoot the puck. It's always a big running joke, but it's true. The Lightning were not shooting in this game, and they finally throw a shot on goal and Darren Radish scores. You just, especially when things aren't going your way, you got to throw the puck on net, even if it is right at the goalie's chest, just to try and get something going. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe you get a lucky bounce and you can get yourself back into it and build some momentum. But the Lightning, just a mess on all sides, really. And it's built on that frustration after that first loss of game 1. Now you're sitting 0-2, and nothing is looking right.
Especially on that power play, too, early in the game. Like, it was – literally trying to pass the puck into the back of the net. Like I was getting real frustrated with that power play where Victor and Cooch were just kind of passing it back and fake shooting, fake slapper just to whiff on the actual shot when you get defenders closing in on you because they're getting tired and they're predicting it. Shoot the puck. Like I think it's corny to be that guy yelling at the TV to be Phil Esposito, but at a certain point, shoot the damn thing.
But you that's the thing is you can't. You can't just shoot the puck.
Yeah.
When you got guys in lanes, it's going to pretty much guarantee that the puck's going to go 200 feet. You have to create openings, and the only way that the Lightning currently are trying to create openings is by puck movement. And if the puck movement doesn't work, then guess what? We don't have a good opportunity to actually score. When Cooch moves his feet, That's how he scored the goal in the first game. He was moving his feet, he was moving laterally, and it opened up a seam. When he's stationary, all you can hope for is that they have to try to dual defend between him actually taking his one-timer and him doing a slap pass to a point, let's say, that's in the slot, right? So they have to defend against both, so hopefully there's a weakness there and there is a seam. When they don't have any sort of movement, that's the only thing they can rely on. They can't really shoot. If you looked at the preseason, when Geeky was on the power play and Cooch wasn't even in the game, they had this interesting play where they would loop Geeky all the way into the neutral zone. He'd circle back down and come skating downhill with the puck as they kind of leave it for him. And Geeky's not to the point yet to be a good playmaker, where if he was, I feel like that is a play that's going to be really hard to defend because now you've got a lot of speed and movement. But it was a completely different look at a power play that we haven't seen in the league, I feel like, as a go-to in a while. And that might be something they're testing to. I would love to see some of our guys be able to do that have on power play one, because, they went 2 for 3 last game. They had none, no power plays this game, or power play goals this game.
And you let up a shorty.
And that's the thing, where you can't force a shot, right?
A shorty against Ottawa, shocker.
Yes, so you got to figure out how to have a secondary look with your primary team. Your power play one, in my opinion.
Ethan had a comment here, kind of mentioning on that power play, saying obviously it's a small sample size, but power play may not be where we like it. At least the penalty kill has been decent, PK at about 88%. Yeah, small sample size. I'm not that frustrated with the power play. They weren't great in game 2, but sitting again only 2 games, they're tied for 6 at 25% right now on the power play. Still very early, and what we saw from them in game 1 was fantastic. They looked really good in that one, so I'm not overly concerned.
That's that different style team too. You get someone that's a lot more aggressive, like the Devils. They got to figure out. That's where we get killed in the playoffs too, by the way. We get killed in the playoffs with our power play because you get the aggressive teams that are coming after Cooch that are making sure that there's not enough time to make a play, as opposed to something that's a little bit more collapsing and take away lanes. We got to figure out a different look.
And, is that maybe just changing up some of the different ways that they play the power play, or do they need some extra players? Maybe they can look at that. I don't know. I think changing up the looks would definitely help. That's the easy fix than just grabbing a new player, which you can't just go do. A couple more comments here too. Beverly said, did you guys see Dominic James scored a goal in each of his first 2 games? I did not. If he did, that's really impressive. We need him back. Hey, listen, Dominic James really impressed a lot of people in that preseason, and I think that was not impressed you. I don't think that was didn't go unnoticed. So I don't know, his overall, what's the word I'm looking for? His overall game, if it's enough, if he's ready to go for an NHL level, but I would not be surprised to see him at some point this year.
He was real loosey-goosey in his skating and in his style, which, can be great. But, yeah, like you're saying, Jay, in the NHL nowadays, coaches want somebody who can play 200 feet unless you're just, the elite of the elite. But, you don't want to deal with another ABB situation where you have to play him in the top 6. I think he's got plenty of skill, but he's still super young. So, let him cook in the AHL. Is that where he's playing? Is he down in Syracuse? Let him cook. Let him do his thing. If there's a spot for him in the future, I think he's probably number 1 or 2 on the call-up list. So there might be an opportunity. I hope there's not, because that means injuries happen, but there might be one in the future. He's number 1 on mine to call up at least. But as of right now, yeah, let him cook down there.
I'm trying to pull up to where his stats are. I don't see where. I believe he's in the AHL. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's definitely a player that we could see very soon, and good for him if he did score goals in each of his 2 games. That's great to see that he's continuing that hot offense. Ethan, real quick, too, also saying Kucherov with 5 giveaways and Hedman also with 5. Yeah, that was part of the issues in these first 2 games. They were giving away pucks, and I know people were frustrated with Kucherov. Obviously, he did not have a good game. I mean, that's to state the obvious, but Kucherov gets a little more leeway when he scores as many points as he does often. He was getting frustrated, and you could tell that he was not on his game and just getting upset with himself, which he tends to do, which frustrated Kucherov isn't always a good thing, I feel like. So
it's a coin toss.
Yeah, that's right. But I have to believe he'll get his game back under his belt and that he'll be all right. It's Nikita Kucherov, and I'll give him a little more of the way.
Yeah, this Boston game, we haven't even got to it yet, but you can tell something's kind of up with him. I haven't been super impressed with him. I'm not one of these people that you've been getting, Jake, on the Bull Report saying, well, it's time to move on from him. We need to get rid of him or something. It's not like that just yet, but...
What does that even mean? What would that even look like?
I have no idea.
I
No.
don't know.
Maybe in 3 years, McDavid.
I think it was a combination too of just the frustration building. You start 0-2 and nothing really looked right. And I get it. Nobody was really happy with that start for the Lightning to go 0-2 like that. Especially as you watch the Florida Panthers, who I think they're still undefeated if I'm not
3-0,
mistaken.
yeah.
They're 3-0 and they're missing two of their best players. So you're sitting there going, what's going on right now, guys? Let's get this together. So frustrations for the first two games for the Lightning, but let's get to the Boston game, as you kind of mentioned there, Matt, because here's the good news. The Lightning did finally get their first win of the season by a final score of 4-3. This game is another weird one, right? First period, you're feeling great. Lightning looked really good, even early parts of that second period. The Lightning at one point led 4-1 in this game, but then Boston starts to come back. You had a couple of defensive breakdowns. Jonas Johansson in net for this game, by the way, and you start to get nervous. And Boston, boy, did they make a push to try and tie this game. Lightning, luckily this time, though, they locked things down, were able to hold on, and they get the win heading out of Boston, which was much, much needed.
Yeah, you won the game, but it was fun getting there for sure. It had me puckering a couple times. Again, another really fun first period, and then another just atrocious second period. Yeah, you added one or two more goals in that period, but you also surrendered 3 in pretty quick fashion. Not quick fashion, but 3 in a period is way too much. Yeah, it was fun. You just let Boston get back in, and I think they're a better team than they were last year, but I don't think they're the 3-0 team coming into this afternoon's game. So somewhere in between, and that's kind of what we saw. Again, it was a get right game for the Bolts. They played a lot better, especially in the first period and into the third, on just general team defense. They did a really good job of protecting JoJo, which we hadn't seen in the first 2 games. They were very weak in front of the net from the circles in, really. And this game, it was pretty different that first period. Again, I'm only singling out this first period, but it was a noticeable difference that I didn't see throughout a previous 120 minutes of hockey. So I got to give them credit for that, but they did kind of relent later in the game.
Sometimes that happens too, where you feel like you need to protect your goalie, and then all of a sudden you start playing better defensively. You try a little bit harder, and we saw that. I'm trying to think of what the example is. I think it was Stamkos coming back from an injury, not for the cup runs, but like he comes back from an injury, and then the whole team just kind of takes a sigh of relief, as opposed to if he were to be injured, everyone knows they have to step up. And yeah, that first period they really did. They did a really good job defensively, I thought, of clearing stuff. There's a total of 11 shots. Actually, pretty much all balances out throughout the game with 33 total. But JoJo had some really nice saves too. There was a few there that I thought for sure he was going to get beat, and he came up with the saves, came up with the first win of the season, which is obviously really big for the club, and he's doing the sort of things in his first outing that you really need. He stepped up when Vasi isn't playing, and gave the team a chance, and they were able to take care of the rest.
And Joe, you brought up Stamkos too. I think you have a better example from 2 years ago when Vasilevsky was out to start the season, and they did the whole team did a really good job of playing in front of Johansson. And then when Vasi came back, not his fault at all, but it seemed like the team just kind of took a side, like, okay, our guy is back. We can kind of play a little bit looser now, and that's kind of what it's felt like over these 3 games. Is all right, Vasi's in, we can be a little lackadaisical. Oh, JoJo's in, let's play strong for him, which I hope that's not a continuing theme, but that was a theme 2 years ago at the start of the season.
Yeah, and something else that was a theme, not last season because they kind of got better at it, but the season before was losing faceoffs.
Oh.
In this game, oh my God, they went 19 of 60. That's That's crazy to be 31.7% on the faceoff.
Hey, Curtis Douglas won one. He won a faceoff. Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not good at all. And there was a Bruins goal where the Bruins won a faceoff, immediately shot the puck, and it went in. So that wasn't great either. It is weird Johansson coming up with the first win. There were a couple ones that I was like, I don't know about that, but he did also make some big saves. So, and that's kind of the par for the course with Johansson. Sometimes he'll sit there and say, "Oh, that was really nice." I don't know what that was, but he gets the win. And at the end of the day, that's what the Lightning needed right now, is just to get the win. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Cooper was fired up in this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him that animated in a while, where I believe he was yelling at Chernak. I don't think it was with the referees. I couldn't remember if there's anything specific, but he was hot right after that. I believe it was the second Bruins goal, where it was the one where Chernak made a pinch and it created a 2-on-1 and the Bruins ended up scoring. It was the one where Johansson, I don't know what he did. He never went down. He kind of just, it was a short side shot and he did not read it well at all. But Cooper was furious. And I think that's some of the frustration for the Bolton, knowing that their defense has not been good. And Cooper just kind of getting on the guys saying, "Hey, what are we doing? You can't be doing this." So that was at least nice to see that I don't know if that's the right word here, but you guys know what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah, that specific goal you're talking about, Joe, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, man.
Go for it. Go for it.
That specific goal you're talking about, like, it was kind of just chaos between three people. Like, Chernak put McDonough in a really bad spot. McDonough bobbled the puck, and it ended up being a 2-on-1 that he got back for, and he was covering the pass option, the one-timer option, and JoJo just, for whatever reason, didn't, or maybe not for whatever reason, but it seemed like he didn't really trust McDonough to take that pass away. And so he was expecting that pass to come off and then just got beat clean with a good shot from, who was it, Jordan Harris. So it was just kind of three guys that it was just discombobulated. I'm not putting any of this on McDonough, actually, but I don't know why he decided to.
It's you try making a read, you might cheat a little bit, and then you get corrected for it after you make the play. Well, there's a couple of comments in chat that I thought might be interesting to talk about, especially Ethan's most recent one there.
Yeah, so Ethan said, "I feel like we've been talking about this defense for so many months now, about pulling the trigger on someone with some serious value to help, and just
Going
nothing
into
happened."
Last season. Yeah, I want to say that, with this comment, Crozier, I thought he looked pretty good. Giving him some opportunities to play is a good thing. But Moser, I thought, had a really good game. Really nice to see him back. He ate up 24 minutes, which is a pretty big number.
Maybe you don't get suspended for 2 games.
He didn't deserve it.
He did. We covered that, boys.
Yeah,
we covered that. A lot of people have been really. Had harsh things to say about Lilleberg. Well, it limited his minutes in order, by having Moser play the full 24. So if you are a big critic of Lilleberg, well, having Moser play more minutes is obviously a good thing, and he did well in them. So
he was solid.
What's that?
He was solid. I was saying. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of looks that are going to be different from last year, and I think Dan's comment that he put in the chat right after it is true. It's really hard to get somebody as good as that we can fit under the cap that's as good as Sergachev to replace him. It's with the way that the cap is, just Lightning just get screwed by the cap every year, man.
I was going to say, I think that's part of the bigger, or one of the issues, especially to Ethan's second part, saying nothing happens. It's tough with the cap. Now, here's the good news. Cap did take a pretty decent jump. It's going to jump again here next year. So it's at least getting better, but the Lightning are still in a spot where they can just go out and acquire a big piece very easily because they don't have that cap space. I believe next year it's still projected to take another, I forget what it was. Let me try to pull it up really quick, but it's another big jump. And so that's going to help.
Yeah, while you're pulling it up, but Ethan, I think you're right. Our defense hasn't looked as good as they should be, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I think Hedman's a lot too. He is not as dominant of a force as he has been in the past, and because of that, we are starting to see a little bit different Lightning defense, that he's no longer just taking over games defensively. So that's something that we've been used to for like a decade now, and we're just not getting out of him.
Yeah, for a 5-year stretch, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for a 5-year stretch, I mean, objectively, I'm using that word very loosely, he was the best defensive defenseman in the league and the best offensive defenseman in the league before some guy named Kale came along. He's not that good on defense, though. But Victor was the best he could be. There's a reason why he won the Conn Smythe, because he was also so dominant defensively. There's a reason why he won a Norris and was in the voting for like 5 years straight, because he was a force to be reckoned with. Even still to this day, which I think it might be a little bit of just name brand bias, but people still say he's one of the hardest defensemen to play against, because he never really used his body. Like, he was never tough or physical, but that massive wingspan, that long reach, and a well-placed stick, and great speed, which it seems like he's kind of starting to lack. That speed's just kind of not there. His defensive positioning is really kind of not there anymore. It has been maybe not a drastic fall off, but I have been pointing a lot of fingers at Victor Hedman recently. One of my friends likes to call him the best. He's got the best seat in the house, because it seems like he's on the ice for a lot of these goals against that he's kind of a problem with. And I think the empty net goal against the Senators, it kind of came from one of his mistakes. Like, yeah, the puck was right in the corner, not the corner, but right at the blue line there, and he couldn't keep it in, bobbled it, got beat clean for an empty net goal, which it seemed like a 99% chance, like, that Victor would have that play. He'd get the puck in deep, keep it in the zone, like, have a good keep and get it deep into the Ottawa zone, and it just kind of all crumbled there. He's lost his step.
You're talking about his great stick, and one of the reasons why it was so amazing is because he would have like this double crossover to get laterally and threw his stick out, and all of a sudden he went from being in the middle of the ice to damn near the boards, and he did it in the blink of an eye. And that foot speed has suffered, and because of it, that the ability to just eat up the ice and not let you pass them is starting to go down too. And I feel like this happened, I remember it was like 2 seasons ago, or maybe it was 3 seasons ago. I read an article about how he was working extra hard with an off-ice trainer, and that he was trying to increase his foot speed back. But one of those things, man, that you just can't ever beat is Father Time, and it might be starting to get to the point where his explosiveness just can't be where it was in the past.
And Father Time is undefeated, but at the same time, too, he's had some injuries over the last couple of years, and where have they all been? From the waist down, they've been foot and leg injuries. So I think that plays a big factor into it too. I know skeletal injuries are a bit easier to heal than muscular, but even still, like, it's got to take a toll. And he played the playoffs last year on a broken foot. I'm hoping that he's all right. Again, he was played very sparingly in the preseason, one entire period. I'm hoping he's still not dealing with something, but those injuries do mount. Those lower body, those leg injuries, those foot injuries, they mount, and that will hamper your speed.
Can't wait till.
Just thinking real quick, just to add on, you're saying Father Time's undefeated. Unless you are Aaron Ekblad and take PEDs to help cheat your way.
No comment. What was I going to say now? Here, quick on the cap numbers here for the Lightning. They have about $2 million in change right now. Granted, you do have Nick Paul on LTIR. I believe before those they had about just under $1 million. Cap for the next 2 years is supposed to jump about $9 million, which is definitely going to be very nice for the Lightning. And there are, I know, both Daniel and Ethan were talking in the comments here, and Daniel kind of saying that the problem is when the cap jumps that teams can re-sign their own players. You have less people in free agency. And yes, that will be partially true, but also it means the Lightning can more easily go make trades for the players that they want. Don't have to worry about shipping out the same amount of cap space out as they take in. So that will also help. And even just signing, but the depth, as we talked about, the depth has been the major issue, right? You can very easily go pick up some depth pieces when you have a lot more cap space just to be able to work with. So that's going to help. Doesn't help you right now. You're going to need some guys to step up. Joe, you talked about J.J. Moser, who I do think was really solid in this first game. That'll help a little bit, and maybe Crozier can really make an impact this year at being one of those top defenders for the Lightning that they need, clearly, because the defense has been struggling these first couple of games. So, all right.
You know who's a UFA at the end of this year? And who I could totally see the Lightning signing? And I would hate this. Jacob Trouba. I feel like that's something that's kind of like a knee-jerk move. You get a defensive defenseman, a POS. I could see them doing something silly like that. Again, we don't have any guys that are, going into big deals. Like our cap's going to be what our cap is. We have Ryan McDonough coming off the books, and I'd take him back at a reduced rate, but I do like the cap outlook. I was just looking at UFA defenseman at the end of the year.
31 years old. His current salary is what, $4 million?
Yeah, he's not getting that again.
He's not getting. Yeah, I was gonna say if he could be signed for half that or less, I could understand giving it a go.
Maybe.
So I do like their Rangers pipeline. So we'll go for it. So who knows? Maybe. All right, it's time to get to our 3 stars of the week. Not a lot of guys that were really crazy impressive when you have a 0-2 start and then finally get a win against Boston, and even it wasn't pretty, but we do think there were a couple of guys that stood out. So let's get to it. Number 3 star, starting off with one of the new guys, Pontus Holmberg, makes an appearance on this list. Didn't play a ton, but especially in that Boston game, guys, he was really impressive.
Yeah.
Look, you get the game-winning goal for the first win of the season, and you look impressive doing it by flying around and getting into a great position in order to score it. It's going to take time to adjust to a new team, especially at full game speed. But I mean, he's looking to get in there and get dirty, and he got a goal and assist against Boston. So I mean, it's a pretty good start.
A beauty assist at that. Like when I was talking to some Leafs fans at the start of the season, I said, what am I to expect with Pontus Holmberg? They said, don't expect a lot. Expect him to draw some penalties. He was the one taking them today, but we'll ignore that because of just how well he played out of the box. He played really well with his line mates of Bjorkstrand and Gord. That connection with him and Gord, that beautiful third goal, it's hard to get better than that. I did not expect that from Pontus Holmberg, and I bet Leafs fans are like, where did that come from? Hopefully he can keep that up, but a really solid impression in the first 3 games, especially this Boston game. So hopefully he can just stay out of the box and start putting other guys in the box, because that was the biggest sell, was he'll draw you all the penalties you want, but I didn't expect him to be taking them.
I didn't expect all the amazing merch that you can find on shop.rblrsports.com, but here we are. Don't forget you can use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. But just like I wasn't, that's surprising, look at Holmberg. He comes out and surprises us all. So always really nice to see. Don't forget, links as always are in the description. Lightning, Bucks, Rays, Rowdies, all that team-inspired merch, you name it, we got it. You can get an awesome shirt, help support the show. We really do appreciate it. So don't forget to go check that out. Again, shop.rblrsports.com. Use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. All right, number 2 star of the week. Now, this is a guy that he came in with the Lightning, surrounded a little bit of a controversy because all that happened was Steven Stamkos, but boy, has he just been fantastic. He's been one of the best acquisitions made by JBB, I would say, overall in his tenure. And of course, that is Jake Gensel. He earns the number 2 star of the week. No goals, because of course I bet on him to score a goal, but he had lots of assists and played some some good hockey. So Jake Gensel gets the number 2 star of the week.
He's turning into an everyman. I mean, he got points on the power play. He got points at even strength. None on the shorthanded unit, but he's starting to play on the shorthanded unit. He did last year, but it seems like he's kind of starting to take over like a PK2 spot. So good for him. He's a defensively minded player, and it seems like most of the time that he's out there, something good happens, and he can produce on a line by himself. They took him away from Point and Kucherov, and he was playing with Cirelli. Who else was on that line? But him and Cirelli, I mean, they looked great today. He set Cirelli up for those first 2 goals.
Gonzalez, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Gage Gonzalez. He had a really good game as well. But that line together, you can stick Gensel with anyone, and he will produce. And he helped Cirelli. He set him up 2 beautiful goals today, and just more assists to come. Hopefully, he can find the back of the net, but he hasn't been asked to so far yet. But
I'm going to stop betting on him soon, so he'll score. Don't worry.
Please, Jake. Bet against the other team or something.
You said
Or
he's really smart defensively. He's just, I think, really smart everywhere on the ice. He's one of the more intelligent players that we have on the team when it comes to overall ice awareness and the ability to predict where the puck will be and getting himself into those spots. He's not going to be the most physical. He's not going to be the strongest, the fastest, hardest shot, anything like that. What he does is he uses his wit to get into really good areas, and obviously with the passes that he made to get the 4 assists in 3 games, it really shows. And we talk a little bit about plus minus on through this podcast, and it is somewhat of an indicator of what's going on in the game. He's a -1 for those 3 games, but if you look at where Kucherov is, he's a -7.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, power
To be
play.
fair, there's a lot of bad numbers going around right now.
Power play points don't count towards your plus minus, so that doesn't really help either of them in that aspect of things. But the goals aren't getting scored as much against Gensel being on the ice, and that's a really big part of his game. Just puck management. It's not even on the defensive side of the puck. It could be puck management on the offensive side of the puck where you don't have an opportunity, and instead of just shooting it into a turnover, it ends up being a smarter play where you dump it down deep and make him skate the full length of the ice.
Was he one of the guys last year that just always ended up on the stars list? I know it was like him and Hagel. It seemed to be there like every week, and it's like, okay, we're getting tired about talking about how good these guys are.
Yeah, when Gensel and Hagel were constantly on the Cooch's stars of the game list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping for another season like that because he is my token Bolts player on my fantasy team this year. I've been
we're back from the first episode.
I'm mad. All my fantasy league mates, they're all predominantly Lightning fans, so they just vanished real quick. So I had to take Gensel, and it's paying off so far. If he has another year like last year, I'm in good company.
Well, let's go to our number 1 star of the week because while Gensel and Holmberg were both very impressive, one guy I think kind of outshined everybody. And this is a guy that I'm really excited to see what he can do this year because he showed some promising stats when he joined the team last year, but of course dealt with an injury. And that is Oliver Bjorkstrand. He gets number 1 star of the week, guys. He's got that unbelievable shooting percentage stat. Sometimes his finishing isn't always perfect, but boy, when he takes a shot, it's a thing of beauty.
What is let's see what his shooting percentage is right now? He's at 25%. Not too shabby. He's got 4 shots and got the 1 goal out of it. And he's a right-handed shot, man. That's something that we really need is right-handed shots, being able to put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, I'd like to see him utilized more on the power play like I know he has been, but taking that bumper spot from Braden Point when he started really clicking with the power play last year before he got injured. He was the bumper guy, and it seemed to really work really well. Then he got injured, and the wheels kind of started to fall off the bus. So hopefully he can get back into being that Swiss Army knife. He's playing on the 3rd line, but you put him on PP1, or you can play him up in the line. He's anywhere from a bottom sixer to a middle sixer to a top line guy. You can use him anywhere, and it seemed like he was always on the right side of the puck. He was a big part of that 3rd line that I was talking about earlier today, just a couple minutes ago, that 3rd line with Gord, blanket.
Gonzalez.
What's up?
No, not Gonzalez. He was playing with Sorelli and.
I thought you were talking about something.
Whatever. He's just, you can utilize him anywhere. I think he's going to be beloved by this team. Again, we've only seen so much of him so far, but he was on the right side of the ice, it seemed like, every game this week, which was hard to do for anyone on this team.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth, and really good stuff from those guys. There's your 3 stars of the week for us. Let us know in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there somebody we missed? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But Holmberg, Gensel, and Bjorkstrand are our 3 stars for this first week of the regular season. All right, let's look at the road ahead here for the Lightning. We have our first back-to-back game coming up here. There's going to be quite a few of them this year, but the Lightning will take on the Washington Capitals tomorrow night, Tuesday, We're recording this on a Monday here at 7 p.m. Eastern. This game in Washington, and then the Lightning will have 2 days off before they play another back-to-back, where they will play the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then they will play the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus again at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then they're going to have 4 days off. Why they have this schedule set up the way they do, I don't know. But they'll have a 4-day break after those. Those are the next 3 coming up here for the Bolts guys before we are back with another episode recapping those.
Not an easy week ahead. Washington, I think they're going to pick up right where they left off. This game's also on ESPN, by the way, if anyone's going to be looking for it. So beware. National game. Red Wings, they've had an up and down start as well. I think you should win that game, but you never know what happens with the Red Wings. And what was the last one? Columbus? Yeah, yes. I don't even know what to make of them this year. I don't even know what to make of the Lightning this year. You're hoping you leave this one 3-0, and we can have a much better tone this coming week. But that's the fun of the early part of the season. It's the mystery box. You don't know what you're going to get, and I've been surprised thus far.
Well, I mean, the schedule starting off this way, where you get 2 back-to-backs basically in a week, it's going to get a lot of games played for the Lightning, in the first 2 weeks. So they got a very minimum be 500 for this week. They already got the first win. They have to get at least one other road win, or they're going to start to put themselves behind for like this first 10-game stretch to start the season. So I think they have a really good chance. I think they could probably pull 2 out of these 3 if they play a solid game. And there's no reason why they can't win all 3 on the road, but it is definitely going to be tough with the second set of back-to-backs, I think.
Lightning 0-2 in the Nickelback goal song era and 1-0 on the road. Just saying. I know that's been a hot discussion for a lot of Lightning fans right now. I don't think too many people are very thrilled with the goal song situation for the. It's been funny though, because there's so many teams that have their iconic goal songs, and then there's the Lightning who have. How many times have they changed it now in the past couple of years? I mean, they just keep trying different things, and the Lightning organization does a lot of things right. Goal songs might not be one of them. They still haven't quite figured that one out yet, but hopefully they'll settle on something soon. That'll be enjoyable. Do you guys have anything you would really love to? I want to see. I know Michael is always a big opponent of everybody having their own custom goal songs. I'm not a big fan of that, but what you guys feel?
I like it as long as they're like good songs. Like I think Jeff Skinner, who I just adore. I forget what he had when he was on.
Could have been a Bolt.
It should have been a Bolt. I don't know. I might argue against that now, but I think he had something stupid like Pink Pony Club or just like a joke song, something like that. Just something silly. No, it was even worse and just way more obscure than that. But I'd love something like that, or just something iconic. Like my favorite goal song in the league, and I hate to admit it, we heard it 3 times today, is Kernkraft, the Bruins goal song. It's iconic. You can't deny that it's not iconic. I love that song, but you can't steal that. But you need something like on that level, something iconic that you have with you for 15 years.
A lot of people really like
too, and everyone just goes woohoo.
I feel like it's overdone. That's just arena music. It needs to be unique.
People really liked Goons. I know a lot of people are big on bringing that back. So, I didn't have a problem with Goons. I thought that one was solid. I do like when teams too, like they'll put out polls to just see what the fans want, and people can vote on it. And then you can maybe try and find that iconic song that you can just keep. They've definitely been trying to change it too much. They gotta find one and just stick with it. But
maybe Sweet Caroline.
No, absolutely not. Not for me. No, thank you. All right. Well, that's the least of the Lightning's worries right now. They got to win games. That's the most important thing. They got their first win against Boston. Hopefully when we're back next week, we'll be talking about a lot more wins. Don't forget, guys, you can follow us on social media at RBLR Lightning, at RBLR Sports. You can also check out the other awesome podcast that we got here covering all of the Tampa Bay sports teams. But be sure to follow us so you don't miss out on future episodes. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in with us live here once again. We appreciate everybody tuning in. With that said, we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.